Am I the butthole for accidentally calling out a new colleague on lying about her language skills? Last week a new colleague, Kathy, 33 female, started at my 25 female workplace. She instantly stood out in the team, because she seems like someone who is very loud and assertive. Two of my colleagues, me and Kathy, were having coffee in the break room. We were the only ones in there and we were sitting far apart, when the subject of travel was brought up. My colleague said she wasn't booking trips anymore because it'll probably get cancelled because of COVID anyway. Kathy immediately cut in about how sad she is because she travels so often and she goes on these far exotic trips to Europe as her hobby. When I think exotic, I think the Bahamas or something instead of Europe, but cool. Kathy then jokes about how all this no-travel business is making her fear that she'll lose some of her foreign language skills. I asked what languages she spoke. She claimed to be fluent in 3 European languages, among which were French and Dutch. Kathy said she was at a native speaker level and went on about how people in Europe were always surprised when they found out she wasn't from there. I was excited, because I never get to speak Dutch over here. I was raised in Belgium, which has 3 national languages, French and Dutch, which are my mother tongues and the most commonly spoken there, and German. It's quite common to be pretty fluent in at least 2 out of the 3 languages in Belgium, because you're required to learn them at school, along with English, from a young age. I told Kathy, "Oh Luke, Dan hebben we iets gemeenschappelijk ook." Oh fun, we have something in common then. She immediately pulled this sour face and asked me if that was supposed to be Dutch. I said yes. She laughed awkwardly and said she couldn't understand because I have a terrible accent and must not be that good at speaking it. Now see, I don't have an accent. I speak Dutch more fluently than I speak English. I told Kathy that I grew up speaking Dutch and speak it to my family all the time. She got miffed and asked what languages I speak and where I'm from. I told her I'm from Belgium, so I also speak French, and I added, "Which you just said you speak as well, cool. We can speak French instead." I acknowledged that I was a bit of a dick here, because by that point I knew she probably lied about speaking French as well. She then shoved her chair back and angrily got up, said whatever and stomped off. It was awkward. My other colleagues just kind of shrugged and said she shouldn't have lied. However, she later approached me and told me I embarrassed her by acting superior about my European heritage. I told her there was no way for me to know she'd lied about speaking those languages. She rolled her eyes and told me I was immature. A colleague told me that Kathy had called me a little b-word who enjoys bullying new colleagues behind my back later. I don't think I was a bully at all, but I don't want this to turn into a huge thing. Do I just apologize to keep the peace? Am I the butthole? Edit 1. I'm not sure about escalating this to HR, which a lot of people have told me I have to do. I feel like this might make me look immature to the rest of my colleagues, of which I am the youngest, and it might not need to go that far. It depends on if Kathy is willing to put this behind her and be professional. If all else fails, I do have witnesses who would be honest about what happened, so I think I might be in the clear if she tries to twist the story. Edit 2. Some people have taken offense to me giving the Bahamas as an example of an exotic place and are trying to make this into a race issue. I didn't know exotic was an offensive term in the US. Do I think of the Netherlands, Belgium, England, Norway, which were countries she was describing as being faraway exotic destinations, as my idea of an exotic trip? No. Not because there's a lot of white people there, but because when I think of exotic I think of a place with nice sunny weather, white sand beaches and a blue ocean. Maybe it's because I'm from Belgium, but I don't really feel like being in my home country where it's dark and rainy all the time is quite that experience. Edit 3. Some people think she might not have understood me because she is fluent in Dutch, but learned it in the Netherlands, which has different accents. While it is true that the Netherlands and Flanders have different accents, I didn't speak a very specific dialect like West Flemish or something. I spoke the general Dutch you'd see in the news in Flanders. I didn't speak quickly to try and make it incomprehensible to set her up. I genuinely believed she spoke Dutch because that's what she was saying, so I talked to her in normal, conversational Dutch. The same kind of Dutch I'd use in a work environment back in my home country, the same kind of Dutch I use with friends from the Netherlands. But with a soft G lol. Not the butthole. I embarrassed her by acting superior about my European heritage. I mean, not that, but you are superior to her in that you don't feel the need to lie to impress people. Kathy had called me a little b-word who enjoys bullying new colleagues. Oh, Kathy. Talking aloud into the mirror again? Kathy calling original poster immature is rich, especially when she insulted Op and used a derogatory term. I honestly would report Kathy to HR in case she decides to submit a complaint against Op and spin the narrative to her favor. She already showed her character by lying at the break room. I would be on high alert to what lie she will tell to HR. Yes, make HR aware. At the very least, Op, make HR aware of what happened. Tell them you don't need to have any action taken against her. I'm assuming you don't yet, but she seems upset, so you wanted to let them know before it becomes an issue. Exactly, she needs to make HR aware she did nothing wrong, but she accidentally caught that woman in a lie, and now the woman is being a bit abusive about it. She likely also lied on her resume about her language skills if she is claiming to be at native speaker level. I was thinking that as well. Me, too. Especially since practically her first interaction with her new co-workers involved her lying about her language skills. Makes me wonder what other skills she inflated on her resume. She seems like she's capable of embellishing, lol. Embellishment is probably her best skill. It's possible that's not the only thing she lied about. She seems to have a self-image built on a persona that isn't herself and takes poorly to having that challenged. She seems to have a self-image built on a persona. Definitely this. I can't believe that after this happened in front of witnesses she had the brass balls to tell someone else about it and spin it as original poster being a bully. Any normal person would be mortified that they were caught, and praying original poster never mentions it again, not drawing attention to it by bringing it up to others. It kind of suggests to me that she's one of those slightly deluded people who lies so hard they almost believe themselves. They can be really vicious if you threaten their version of reality. If she did lie on her resume, that might be why she's pushing to spin original poster as the bully. She knows if anyone looks further into her she risks losing her job, so she alters the narrative to keep the attention off her. But whether or not she speaks a language is a fact. If someone looks into it, then it's not a subjective thing where putting a good spin on it first is going to give her any advantage. If someone investigates and finds out she can't speak Dutch when she said she can, they won't care if original poster did or didn't bully her. If she put it on her resume, the best thing to do would be to shut up and hope original poster doesn't care enough to tell anyone, not deliberately antagonize them. Which confirms the idea that HR should be aware. HR people are generally good at reading the room. That's part of why they work in that field. Providing them with factual information about an employee's deceptive behavior should be valuable to them. Very perceptive, well thought out, thank you, hadn't thought of that. If HR finds she lied about language skills, then they dig deeper. She did a couple of things wrong, one of which was calling the original poster a little bitch to her coworkers. That's creating a hostile work environment. NTA, Op. You should go to HR first and have this incident noted, just in case Kathy lies about something else later that could cost you your job. This is it. She already has established herself as someone who doesn't tell the truth, and she doesn't like original poster for exposing her, so no telling what she will do. I wonder if she has actually been to Europe at all, or if that was a lie too. Probably as a senior trip for high school, or maybe one of those group tours? Or Google Street View. Not the butthole. Make sure to loop in HR. She already seems to like drama and causing issues where there aren't any. Yep, I was going to say the same thing. She's got a high probability of being retaliatory and making things up, since she's already proved she's a liar and talks behind others' backs. Besides that, she's creating a hostile work environment. Not smart when you are the new person. I feel like more often I hear about this kind of thing coming from someone who is more established in the company, so they're harder to dislodge. Especially because she's new as well. There are HR policies put in place to terminate within 3 months for a reason. HR should be made aware of the situation, considering it's probably not going to be the last time Kathy gets involved in some sort of drama. Workplaces are stressful enough during these COVID times. There's no need for people like Kathy making it worse for everyone who's just trying to get by in one piece. Indeed, if you have an in-person in the HR department, I drop a big hint. But mind you, if it's not a requirement for her job or a deciding factor, meaning French/Dutch skills are needed, then she simply can't have that job. It's bad for the company, plus they got effed over. She won't be able to do her job. They will ask you if you didn't notice if it comes out. Keep on speaking to her in French. But that's me. Even if it's not a requirement, if she used it at any point as a claim in the part of her hiring process, she is lying about her qualifications. That is a fireable offense for almost any job, and that doesn't even include the abusive name-calling. If the coworker is like this while new to the job, she is a problem employee and lawsuit waiting to happen. HR would be glad to get rid of her. I know it might seem petty, but please listen to this advice. As a 35 female, I am so embarrassed that a woman in her mid-30s is acting like this at work. If she's this petty and just starting out, she will absolutely try to bury someone younger than her to try and prove that she is superior. HR should know, especially if she's still in her first 90 days. She already showed her character by lying at the break room. As a Dutch person, I can confirm she is lying, also about the dialect. Sometimes the Dutch and Flemish have some difficulty understanding each other, but the sentence original poster used would cause no confusion at all, as it doesn't contain any typical Flemish words. I have a Belgian friend and I was wondering if that might be the case. Thank you for clarifying. Maybe she is from in West Vlaanderen. Web link. It's my understanding that Dutch and Flemish Dutch are basically like English and American English. Is that correct in your opinion? Such as it's more apartment V, flat or lift V, elevator, and some accent difference at most. You could definitely say that. The Flemish also use words that are not common for us Dutch at all, and you really need to know what it means to understand, and vice versa. I listened to a Flemish podcast where one of the hosts studied in the Netherlands and also explained misunderstanding. Like the word for suitcase or student room are so different that you need to know, otherwise you have no clue. Kathy, I speak multiple languages excellently. Speaks in Dutch. Kathy, stop bullying me, you bitch. Not the butthole edit, thanks for the award. I'm going to believe Kathy could speak multiple language. Like English, American, Australian, etc. How dare you act superior to poor Kathy by? Checks notes. Being excited you thought you had found someone you could converse with in your mother tongue. The mental gymnastics that woman had to do in order to consider it bullying and acting superior is truly impressive. Is she 33 or 13? Lying about speaking a language is probably the worst thing you can lie about because you are going to get caught out. It is a perfectly natural response of original poster to want to speak to someone in her native tongue because they claimed they could speak it. What would have happened if they had a Dutch or French client and asked Kathy to work with them? A normal reaction would be to go bright red and say I'm so embarrassed and never want to talk about it again, but she has gone around spreading more lies despite there being a third person who viewed the whole thing. Not the butthole. I mean, not that, but you are superior to her in that you don't feel the need to lie to impress people. Kathy, I couldn't understand what you said because your language skills are so much worse than mine. This is my native language. Kathy, you think you're better than me? This is perfectly translated. Maybe you could help Kathy. You need to go to HR. No one should be calling you a bully and a little b at work. Kathy sounds awful. NTA. Yeah, and as a new worker it really looks bad on her. She wanted to make a good impression, instead she's now known as a liar. In my country there's an expression that translating to English is something like the lie has a short leg and this lie didn't even have a foot to stand on. Lies have little legs is how my Polish friend says it. I love the imagery of it. Are you Romanian by any chance? Because yes. Portuguese actually. Exactly this, and it wasn't bullying, it was an attempt to bond with a new colleague with something they supposedly had in common. Not Op's fault that Kathy lied. Not the butthole, she claimed to speak a language. It's not your fault that she lied. It's a risk she ran in telling the lie. This is literally a plot device in comedy movies. Someone purports to be fluent in a language to a person who actually is fluent. Said fluent person gets excited and says yeah in the foreign language, and the person who lied gets flustered and exposed. NTA, Op. Edit, Sigourney Weaver in Heartbreakers. Duh. The Finnish bit was the best part of Shopaholic. No one checks up on Finland. Okay, but for real, one time I was getting harassed by a woman in Beijing aggressively trying to sell me crap, so I decided to pretend I spoke only Finnish. I can only say a handful of things, but my accent is passable, so I busted out the antiiksi, Minä en puhu englantia. Was feeling extremely smug. Until this lady just kept going, in fluent Finnish. What are the chances? This is one of my nightmares, laughing my butt off. I lived in Beijing and had to learn sorry I don't speak English in like 6 languages just to get people to quit trying to sell me crap. The worst was that I couldn't say it in Chinese, which is the language I'm most confident in and the one that I go to on a knee jerk, because I was, in China. Oh man, that's hilarious. r/never tell me the odds, Reddit link. Not the butthole, she said she spoke the language. You spoke to her in the language. She didn't understand it. She got embarrassed. The problem is her. Her lies were not minor lies only said out of politeness. They were blatant bald-faced lies about having skills she clearly didn't possess. She also insulted original poster about her Dutch before original poster rightfully outed her inability to speak French. She's an idiot for lying about something that could so easily be found out. Clearly not the butthole. I want to hug you for saying bald-faced instead of bold-faced. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.